Jewish people are not the target of genocide. Get it through your thick skull. Can you care about two things? Do you really want to become the monster? You're becoming a monster. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not the fucking enemy. I'm like fully in agreement.
What we're really talking about in this country is economic development of black people. Because I've found
economic development of all people.
Well, we're talking about underprivileged
how come just black people? How come you just want to do it for black people? How come you don't want to do it for white people?
I'll tell you why.
Huh?
I'll tell you why.
How come you want to do it for everybody? How come you always black people? Why don't you talk about all people?
Can I give you an answer?
I think we understand the question.
Yeah.
I'm mad when all people die, but I don't think he or many people seem to care when Hamas kills a bunch of their people. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
The way to bring about equality of black people in the system is through
economic... What about equality of white people? Now, I won't interrupt you every time you keep calling black people.
Well,
what about equality of all people?
If you interrupt me, Governor, I can't talk to you.
Well, if you're just going to talk about black people, don't include all people. I try to include all people. You don't.
By the way, segregation is not real. There's 20% of the population in Israel is Palestinian, full citizens, integrated in all levels of work and life there.
Why don't you tell these people that in Atlanta, Georgia, where you keep talking about the South, that the percentage-wise, more black people are professional business people, industrial leaders, more of them in our state house elected officials than any other state in the country.
Can I interrupt you?
Return the land that was illegally taken. Okay, so that's your realistic goal, is telling the 5 million people that live in Israel to move. Okay, let's follow your logic. Where do they go? Where do they go? Let's follow the logic of one state.
I was born here. I intend to die here. We've had our mortar attacks. We've got through them. We live day after day with this. And there's no way or place for me to go. This is my home. And this is where I intend to die.
Our whole life in Israel is always being attacked by terrorists.
Sorry, I'm taking the bombs.
Like, terrorists will do all kinds of attacks on us all the time. And so I don't think that thinking that that part is not real is really understanding the situation over there.
What's the fence for, Ian?
Well, when this thing first started back in 72, a few of the first attacks, the terrorists came up, and throwing grenades through the window and shooting through the window. So it's just put up really as a protection. Not that it really protects you, but it gives you a state of security. You've got to be able to sleep at night.
Because when I grew up, I couldn't really take a bus. I was afraid of blowing up.
Right.
And now it doesn't really happen. So the wall did help. So should we not have a wall?
Can you explain about the wall for people who don't know about it?
I don't know how to explain
Well, I guess simply it's like...
It was built to prevent this attacks. And there's still a lot of other ways. There's tunnels and,
Yeah, rockets.
Yeah.
Mr. Prinsloo, as you are no doubt aware, most criticism of apartheid outside the Union is based largely on moral grounds. For example, the morality of separate residential areas in the cities of the Union, past laws, lack of voting rights, and so on. How would you reply to this?
I support the moralistic thing too. I'm talking pragmatics here. I'm telling you that the one state is a non-starter. That's my point.
The pragmatism.
I'm just telling you this is just what it is. What I'm explaining to you is what it is. And and I believe that people need to reckon with the reality of the situation to actually approach this into a meaningful conversation. Because again, I can't emphasize how much the one state thing is impossible from the Israeli perspective.
Mr. Prinsloo, what is the basic philosophy underlying apartheid as a way of life?
We Europeans who've lived in this country for more than 300 years have come to a conclusion which is strange to some people in the Western world, namely...
Ethan, you're clueless about this? I'm sorry, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I just had one last word. When people call Ethan clueless or me, we probably know more than you because we live there. Everybody that is sitting here in America, which since I moved here, I tell you, this is utopia here. You cannot put yourself in our shoes. You cannot put yourself in... Go live in Gaza or go live in Israel and then tell me about your experience.
with the whole of the world against Rhodesia, this little landlocked country. And anybody, I believe, who has any sense and who pauses to think for a minute must realize what a fantastic thing it was that we embarked on.
It's just like, I don't know, it's kids sitting here in like beautiful California criticizing, like you don't even know what you're talking about.
Right. But when you come to Israel, and then what you hear is people criticizing national security and calling Israel like apartheid, and that they shouldn't have fences, or that Israel should be...
You mean when you come here and you're here?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Like less specific criticism, or more general, like they build a wall and Israel should be a one state with Palestinians and Israel's all living together. They should reduce the borders and remove the gate. That to me seems like super ignorant.
Our policy is one which is called by an Afrikaans word apartheid. And I'm afraid that has been misunderstood so often. It could just as easily, and perhaps much better, be described as a policy of good neighborliness. Accepting that there are differences between people. But while these differences exist, and you have to acknowledge them, at the same time, you can live together, aid one another, but that it can best be done when you act as good neighbors always do.
That's it. I believe in a two-state solution. I believe, that's my I don't think one state, I don't think either people want one state. Like, people are really deluding themselves if they think that this is a realistic solution. Like, if you look at polling, Palestinians and Israelis both don't want, or maybe the Palestinians do want one state. I don't know.
Is the government convinced that the African wants and accepts apartheid as a development policy?
We had to put our case to the Bantu people, and I can safely say today that the Bantu people are accepting the policy of self-development, which essentially is apartheid essentially is in an ever-increasing tempo. I feel confident that the Bantu leadership of Africa, rural and urban, will, by the turn of next year, show in a most marked way that they are satisfied that this policy leads to their salvation.
I feel like people are so deluded. They'll look at something like From the River to the Sea and be like, oh no, that doesn't mean that they want to, they just want to create a secular state and peacefully live with Israelis. You guys know that Hamas was created in opposition to the peace talks that almost fucking occurred.
The one that is powerful rules the part of the world which is owned by the others. That's the policy that aggressors use.
You know who are the aggressors? It's the African National Congress in Africa. They are the aggressors.
No, how can there be?
If the Africans in Africa would stop being so militant and would rather get down and help and build up South Africa and build up Africa, the problem would cease almost immediately. Okay,
There frankly are a lot of Palestinians, right, in the area. And once the Palestinians outnumber the Jews, basically anything is fair game for the Jews. Anything. And I'm sorry, but Hamas, the governing fucking body there, wants to kill all the fucking Jews. It's just not.
The thing is that a lot of times when people say from the river to the sea, what they actually mean is no place for the Jewish people there.
Do most Africans, in your experience, support the guerrillas?
They do, yes.
Do any support the transitional government in Salisbury?
Up to now, nothing has been achieved by the transitional government. They'll begin supporting after they've seen something they've achieved.